Season 1, Episode 3, Bel-Air, spoiler alerts. This is going to be more of a detailed discussion, and I do tend to pick things apart. So if you want a more glossy, quick review, might want to skip. I really don't have a whole lot to say about this episode. It is better than Episode 1. I didn't care for Episode 1 at all, really. Episode 2 was okay, and this one was okay too, okay? So I wrote down some notes so I wouldn't forget. First of all, when Will was in school suspension, I don't like the way the teacher or whatever threw away his artwork like that. And even though this is a show, it just it's a reminder of how teachers and administrative staff in school. This even happened when I was in school. This is a little off topic, but like I said, I am a thinker. I tend to think about things like this. They don't nurture kids and students' natural talents. They tend to just school to me is to get you ready for wage slavery and institutionalized work, and it's just not to say that I didn't have good teachers. I absolutely did, and there weren't good administrators. There were, but a lot of them don't know no better themselves because it's a system we're just dragged through our whole life, and nobody ever questions it. Okay, it was originally created during the Industrial Revolution to get y'all ready, me included, y'all, for wage slavery, to get you used to sitting in one place, to get you used to wearing a uniform, to squash natural talents like art. And what happens to your creativity when you grow up? You know, I'm just saying, just things to think about. I hate that the teacher tossed out his art. That scene really, really got to me. Like, instead of saying, hey, you ain't supposed to be drawing in here, you know, put that up and just put it up. But hey, that's really, really good. Have you ever thought about doing this or doing that? So instead of being in jail /ISS, you're nurturing his talent so that he can get out of that loop. But that's not what they want. They want a feeder to jail because it's money. But now I'm getting too deep. Let's move on. That's a whole nother video. I didn't like that scene. But it's realistic because they don't nurture your talents. They want you to be just, you know, a good little whatever they want you to be. You know what I mean. I could talk all day about that. Anyway, getting into this episode, that was just an aside. Y'all, we don't see Ashley. Where's Ashley? She's kind of like Judy Winslow. Does anybody remember Judy Winslow from Family Matters? Hell no, you don't. Because she stayed for a little bit and then she just disappeared like she never existed, right? Which is weird because Ashley was his best companion when he first got to Bel-Air in the original series. But it's like Ashley don't even exist. I think we saw her, in the first episode a little bit, and now she's just not there. It's really weird. You don't even see her in the house hardly. I don't think I saw her at all. Okay, it's like they don't know what to do with her. The next thing is, there's a lot of frowning. Everybody is frowned up. Do y'all notice that? Everybody but just a few characters, they're constantly frowning. Which leads me to this whack-ass party scene. Okay, we had two parties. We had Uncle Phil, stiff Uncle Phil over here with the Alpha Frat party, and then we had Aunt Viv over here with her sorority sisters. Okay, cool. That was the wackest crab boil ever. I want to say again, whack-ass crab boil. I've been to some seafood boils before, and they were nothing like that. The sorority dinner looked a whole lot more fun, even though it did have its little messy moments. Like, the guys were just lame. If you're an Alpha fraternity member, you should be embarrassed by that sad-ass stepping routine they did. That was some sad-ass stepping. They over there like... I mean, it was like patty cake. I'm like, when I see people step, they be doing some hard-ass stepping. They be passionate. I'm like, what is this messy-ass stepping that they doing? I mean, I would be embarrassed, me personally. But, you know, these are, I don't know, I think that the producers are really exaggerating the culture shock thing because that was a really weak, whack-ass fraternity party. It was really, everybody was stiff. Of course, Uncle Phil gonna be stiff in this because he stiff-ass Uncle Phil. Everybody was stiff as hell. Like, I ain't never been to a party with that many black people and it's that stiff unless it was awake. I mean, really. Hell, what I've been to wakes more lively than that, where people were partying and playing music. So, I mean, Will got up on the stage and everybody's like frowned up. This is everybody's face the whole show. Everybody's frowned up or they're constipated looking. And they're like, what is he doing on that stage? And I'm like, he's trying to loosen y'all stiff ass up. Everybody has a stick all the way up their rectum till it coming out their mouth. I swear, in this show, like, everybody is very stiff. These are the stiffest black people I've ever seen. Even the stepping was stiff. I don't know what else to say about that. It was just a whack ass party. Let me tell you who my favorite character is so far. Hillary. At the sorority party, when she didn't give a damn and she let that lady know, I'm not sorry for being sorry, or whatever she said. She wasn't sorry. She wasn't compromising on what she said on her social media. Loved that for her. Loved that for me too. Very relatable. I like to stand by my principles and stand on principle. And sometimes that's not the hip thing to do, and it doesn't always make you the most money, but you can sleep at night, and it makes you hold your head up high, you know? So I'm really relating to Hillary. I freaking in love with her character. Like, she is badass to me. And I love the original Hillary too, because in her own way, she was like that. Now, she was, of course, really dingy. Everybody knows that. But still, you know, she kind of had her own little path, and she followed it and kind of stumbled into her place. And sometimes things like that happen, which leads me to, why the hell was Aunt Viv discussing all that with Hillary at Will's basketball game? Like, what a downer, Aunt Viv. This Aunt Viv it's kind of a downer. Of course, we all know the first Aunt Viv was a dancer and didn't follow her dreams. This Aunt Viv is an artist, and you know, she's an art teacher, which I'm surprised this must be Bel-Air, because we all know that art ain't even a thing in most public schools anymore. Or, you know, I'm assuming she's teaching college level, but still, like, well, anyway, she didn't follow her dreams. And, you know, Hillary's pointing this out to her. And I thought that little dynamic was interesting. That's not so much black angst as it is just something anybody can deal with. Because, you know, I said this show ain't shit but black angst. And it's not. But this is something anybody can relate to. You know, especially in today's world, when you kind of have to kind of make a decision sometime, dreams or my coin. Dreams don't always equal coin. Fortunately for someone like Hillary, I don't know what the big deal is. I mean, they're super filthy rich anyway, looks like to me. So she can kind of, to me, take her time. I didn't understand, which leads me to the next point. Why is Aunt Viv talking about you need to, you know, see if you can survive on your own or something? I'm not going to say we need to stop throwing our kids out at 18. I realize Hillary's not 18 in this, but she's actually working towards a goal. So what? It's been 2 years. You're fucking rich. You have a big ass house. They act like they in a 2-bedroom apartment and Hillary living right across the way from them, and they can hear her and stuff, and she's kind of, you know, underfoot. You have a huge estate. That ain't even like the mansion where the pool house was right there. You probably have to get on a golf cart to get to their pool house. That's how big that estate looks to me. I mean, who is she bothering being there? She's doing her thing. She's working her craft. She's building her clientele. This is something we do that I noticed, and I could be wrong, but white families, I've noticed, and families of other ethnicities don't kick their kids out at 18. I read somewhere the other day on the internet that that's a generational curse, and I have to agree. I was always welcomed at my family home, and I stayed there the whole time. Trust. Ain't nobody a fool. Ain't nobody trying to get out here and slip and fall. You know what I mean? It's rough out here. And now I think if you just sitting around on your ass not trying to do nothing, that's different. This girl grinding, building her business on Viv. What's up? That I don't know about that. That part was kind of sketch to me. Kind of like, this is kind of sketch. This episode also touched a lot on class issues, socioeconomic differences in the black community, in communities in general, really. That's the real divider, not race, is money, okay, and power. But that's another video. It really touched on that a lot, especially at that whack ass crab boil or whatever they were having with the alphas with their lame ass stepping. When Phil was sitting down with the other guy and he was talking about, you're not, basically, you're not in the trenches like us. You're out of touch. You're in Bel-Air, this, that, and the other. That's a big issue. And particularly within minority communities where you might have a family and someone is like, this just brings issues to mind. Y'all know what I'm saying? Like, you might have a family and you might be the first generation college graduate or something, and the other people might kind of look at you. They might be proud, but they might look at you funny. Like, I don't know. It brought up all kind of issues in my head, and I'm glad they touched on that. I thought that was a really good point. I like this episode for that because that's not something that's often talked about in shows. We talk about everything but the real divider, which is economic power. The other thing is, they have a 2-parent household. Why didn't they send one parent to Carlton's lacrosse game and then another parent can go to Will's basketball game and then Hillary can just go to whichever one she want to go to? Why did everybody have to go to one game and then y'all all travel together like y'all only got one car? Like y'all ain't got cars. Y'all could, I kind of didn't get that part, but I guess if that was a thing, we wouldn't have had a plot, right? So I was a little scared for Carlton. Oh, and let me touch on this. My last review, I thought Carlton planted those drugs in Will's backpack, but it was actually Connor. I just assumed it was Carlton. He knew, granted, but I actually assumed it was Carlton because Carlton has more access to his bag and he's on coke. I didn't think it would be Connor, but I blame Carlton too because that's Connor's people. Those are Carlton's people. So, he got him out of it, but it was still shitty. I still feel like, and, they're kind of like pulling from the old series with the whole, Carlton's jealous of Will. Remember when original Will made it onto the basketball team and Carlton was really like Jade, and they had a couple of episodes like that where Carlton was kind of Jade. Now, it didn't go this far. New Carlton, I thought he was going to have a health episode after he came off the lacrosse field and he snorted all that coke. Because you got to think, when you finish a physical activity like that, your heart is already racing real fast. He's sweating, adrenaline pumping. And then you introduce a heavy stimulant like cocaine into your system. I swear to God, I thought he was going to pass out, y'all, but he didn't. What Carlton needs is some weed. Carlton needs an intervention. They need to get him on coke. If Carlton had smoked some weed after that incident, it would have taken him a minute, but eventually he would have mellowed out. He would have got a good, clean perspective. He would have been mellow, and he could have gone on about his business. You know what I'm saying? Because he's snorting that coke, it make him crazy. Y'all, I used to date a cokehead. Never again. I didn't find out till after we had been together for a while. Crazy as fuck. That's a story time for later. Let's see. Okay, well, we also in this episode have the reappearance of the Raggedy Mouth Man from the original episode. I don't know his name. He wore all the chains, and he's the one that threatened Will on the basketball court in the first episode. And he's threatening him, through text, like, oh, you better have a vest and all that. And then somebody back in Philly at the end were shown that he is informed by somebody in Philly that Will's in Bel-Air through some kind of little basketball article. I don't know how they found, that was kind of like a stretch for me, but I'm going to use my imagination. Like, how the hell did they find this random ass article about a Bel-Air Prep Academy basketball game in the hood of Philly? Like, what the fuck was he looking at to find this shit? Did he Google Will's name? Maybe I'll find out in episode 4, but I'm like, did he Google Will's name? I know he wasn't sitting up there reading the newspaper. Like, I'm not trying to be insulting, but he don't give me that type, like, well, let me see what these headlines are today. Oh, gee, that's intriguing. He don't give me the intellectual type that would be doing that shit, so how did he find him? So we got an appearance of a snaggletooth man, the one that looked like his breath is tart, and he's always in people's face. He even got in the man's face after he walked up with the article. I'm like, it's always the people with the worst breath and mouth that want to be right in your face. I don't know how many times that's happened to me. Be like, damn. Anyway, let's see. Do I have everything I want to talk about? I just want to talk. Really, my main thing was how whack those parties were and how everybody is just frowning all the time. Do y'all notice that? Everybody just frowned up. I mean, it's just like nobody's happy. Let me be in Bel-Air with that kind of money. I smile so much, these cheek muscles be hurting. People would think something was wrong with me. I'd be looking crazy. I'd be walking around looking like the Joker. Not to say I wouldn't have problems, but I damn sure be smiling through them. Leave your comments.